Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alifia Zahratul Adha. I am from Indonesia. The honorables, all panels, and all participants here. Here, I want to join IMAC Conference 2024, and my research title Is Islam the Cause of Muslim Women's Subordination? A historical study of gender in the Old Age and the classical Islamic period's 7th century. You may heard that Islam is a religion that promotes gender equality, or heard that Islam is unequal towards women. But what happens when we dig deeper in the historical and sociocultural context? What if the narrative you've heard doesn't quite match the reality? That's exactly what we are going to explore today. We are here to critically examine the historical context of gender equality in Islam, to challenge the misconceptions that often surround the status of women within the Islamic framework. Here we will delve into the position of women in pre-Islamic societies, compare them with the era of Prophet Muhammad, and examine the role of women in Islamic history. But let's begin with the question, how does the perception of women in Islam differ from the experience of women in other parts of the world? And why is it important to separate the teaching of Islam from the realities of gender inequality that exist in many societies today? Alright, the overview of the agenda is beginning by the introduction, so methodology, discussion, and conclusion. The methodology involves a thorough review of existing literature, critical analysis of historical documents, and comparison of the status of women in pre-Islamic and post-Islamic societies. By doing so, the research aims to shed light on the complex interplay between religious teachings and sociocultural dynamics that shape perception of gender within Islamic societies. The systematic approach allows for a comprehensive understanding of the historical perspective on gender equality in Islam, thereby contributing to the broader discourse on women's rights and the challenge faced by Muslim women in contemporary societies. Before the arrival of Islam in this part of the world, there were already two major civilizations, namely Greek and Roman civilization. At that time, there are also two fairly large religions, namely Judaism and Christianity. Women appear to have historically been subjected to harsh treatment as a group. Women have been the focus of countless, time-consuming discussions over the course of human history. Alright, now let's talk about how women before Islam. So in the pre-Islamic Arab society, the basis of family unity was patriarchal agnatic, where a group of people descendants directly through the male line from an ancestor and was under the authority of an older male or male head of the family. Whereas from a Muslim perspective, Islam gives women a position of honor and respect with clearly stated rights and duties. The Quran provides legal protections in the area of marriage, divorce, and inheritance that are considered to mark a major advance over the situation of women in pre-Islamic societies. Women in Jewish times. Jewish societies also varied in their treatment of women. During biblical times, women were economically dependent and often required to remarry within their tribe to maintain land holdings. Some Jewish sects viewed women as servants, and a father had the right to sell that girl. And next, women in Christian times. Early Christians, horrified by the ethical degradation they saw in Roman society, considered women as the cause of all the societal woes. They believed women were the gates for evil, and their beauty was the weapon for evil to seduce. And Also, women in pre-Islamic Arabia, women were seen as the burden of the family, and their status varied greatly. Some tribes treated women as undesirable, even resorting to burying them alive. Alright, so when the advance of Islam, it's changed the women's status. The advance of Islam brought significant shift in the status of women. Islamic teachings encapsulated in the Quran provide legal protection in areas such as marriage, divorce, and inheritance. So, women in Mecca during 7th century, despite the oppression women faced, the arrival of Islam began to improve their situation. The Prophet Muhammad taught women respect and provided them with opportunities to work, study, and etc., like a man. And also, women's political influence in early Islamic change. Islam recognized the importance of women in society, granting them political rights that reflected their dignity, respect, and exalted status. Khadijah radhiyallahu anha was the first believer in the Prophet Muhammad, who played an important role in the early days of Islam. When Prophet Muhammad spreading Islam to his people, he was often met with cynical reactions, ridicules, pressures, and threats that threatened his life and safety of his family. At such time, Khadijah helped him at many times sacrifice, and Khadijah's role in the great battle of Prophet was acknowledged by him. So we conclude by suggesting that the status of women in various pre-Islamic societies was often more worse than the current situation or than after Islam came. While Islamic teaching have brought significant advancement, the persistence of patriarchal norms within the Islamic community and beyond lead to injustice against women. And also the author argues that the critique of Islam as the cause of women's subordination it fails to account for the fact that patriarchal structures are not unique to Islam, and that present in many other cultural and religious contexts. The author emphasized that the challenge faced by women today stem from a variety of sources, including societal norm and legal framework, rather than from Islamic doctrine. That's all the conclusion. Thank you once again for your time and your attention.